Picture this. You're a political leader. Your wife is pregnant with your second child. And suddenly, 4 RCMP officers knock on your door with news that will change your life forever. They tell you there's a credible death threat against you. And from that moment on, your freedom, as you know, it is over. This isn't a movie plot. This is exactly what happened to former NDP leader Jagmeet Singh in late 23. And the public's reaction to his RCMP escort and tight security has been nothing short of explosive. What we're about to reveal will shock you about foreign interference in Canada, how our politicians live under constant threat, and why Singh's case represents something much bigger and more dangerous than most Canadians realize. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're bringing you breaking political analysis that mainstream media won't tell you the whole truth about. Give this video a thumbs up if you believe Canadians deserve to know what's really happening behind closed doors. And drop a comment below with your thoughts on whether our politicians are getting enough protection, or if this is all just political theater. Let's start with the facts that will make your blood run cold. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says he was warned by the RCMP about a credible threat to his life and placed under police protection 2 winters ago, and he considered stepping down as head of the party. But here's what's truly disturbing. Singh wasn't just dealing with random threats. According to recent revelations, a suspected Indian government agent had Jagmeet Singh under close surveillance, prompting the RCMP to put the former NDP leader under tight police protection in 2023. This wasn't some disgruntled citizen or online troll. This was foreign state surveillance on Canadian soil. The timeline of events reads like a spy thriller. Singh and his wife were expecting their second daughter, Dani, when their world was turned upside down. 4 RCMP officers arrived at their home, delivering the chilling news that credible death threats had been made against him. The implication, according to Singh himself, was that a foreign government was behind these threats. What followed was a complete transformation of Singh's daily life. Armed guards, no more casual bike rides, constant exit strategies, and a level of security that most Canadians can't even imagine. But here's where the story gets even more complex, and the public reaction becomes fascinating. Singh kept this information secret for over a year. Why? Because revealing it would have compromised ongoing investigations and potentially put more lives at risk. The threat to Singh lessened in early 2024, according to representatives from his campaign, but the damage to his personal life and political career was already done. He seriously considered stepping down as party leader. Imagine the pressure that would make someone abandon their life's work. The public's reaction to Singh's RCMP escort and tight security has been sharply divided, and it reveals something troubling about our society. On one side, you have Canadians who are outraged that a democratically elected leader needs this level of protection in what we consider a peaceful country. They see the armed guards in motorcades as a sign that our democratic institutions are under attack. On the other side, there are those who question whether Singh is being dramatic, whether the threats were real, or whether this is all political posturing for sympathy votes. What makes this even more controversial is the connection to India and the broader diplomatic crisis that has been unfolding. The RCMP made an extraordinary statement about the involvement of agents of the Government of India in serious criminal activity in Canada. This isn't just about one politician's security. It's about foreign interference, state-sponsored violence, and the violation of Canadian sovereignty. The fact that Singh, a Sikh leader who has been vocal about human rights issues in India, was specifically targeted tells us everything we need to know about the international implications of this story. The reality of Singh's life under RCMP protection paints a picture that most Canadians have never considered. No more spontaneous appearances. No more casual interactions with the public. No more normal family life. Every movement is calculated. Every public appearance is a security operation, and every day carries the weight of knowing that someone, somewhere, wants you dead. This is the price of political leadership in modern Canada. A price that Singh has paid personally, and that all Canadians are paying democratically. Here's what really gets to the heart of the public's mixed reaction. Many Canadians are struggling to understand how we went from being the peaceful country next door to a place where political leaders need bulletproof vehicles and armed escorts. Some blame immigration and multiculturalism, wrongly pointing fingers at communities rather than understanding that this is about foreign state actors bringing their conflicts to Canadian soil. Others blame the government for not doing enough to protect our democratic leaders and institutions. The truth is more nuanced and more frightening than either extreme position. What Singh experienced is part of a broader pattern of foreign interference that includes harassment of Canadian citizens, intimidation of diaspora communities, and the use of criminal networks to carry out state-sponsored violence. The Canadian Security Intelligence Service, CSIS, said countries, including India, leverage criminal gangs to allegedly conduct threat activity on Canadian soil. This isn't just about politics. It's about the safety of every Canadian who might be considered a target by foreign governments. The mixed public reaction also reveals our own biases and assumptions about who deserves protection and who doesn't. When we see a white, older politician with security, we might assume it's warranted. When we see a young, turbaned Sikh leader with the same level of protection, suddenly questions arise about whether it's necessary or proportionate. This double standard is part of the systemic racism that Singh has faced throughout his political career, and it's playing out in real time as Canadians react to his security arrangements. But let's talk about what this means for democracy in Canada. When our elected representatives can't move freely, can't interact normally with constituents, and have to live in constant fear, democracy itself is under attack. The public's mixed reaction shows that we're not taking this threat seriously enough. Some Canadians are more concerned about the optics of heavy security than they are about the fact that foreign agents are operating with impunity on our soil. Singh's revelation during the 2025 election campaign that he had been under police protection sparked intense debate about transparency versus security. Critics argued that he should have disclosed this information earlier, that voters had a right to know. Supporters countered that revealing active security threats could have compromised investigations and put more lives at risk. This tension between democratic transparency and operational security is something we're going to see more of, not less, as foreign interference becomes a permanent feature of Canadian politics. The financial cost of protecting Singh and other threatened politicians is staggering, and it's a cost that Canadian taxpayers are bearing. But what's the alternative? Do we allow foreign governments to intimidate our elected officials into silence or resignation? Do we accept that some political views are too dangerous to express in Canada? The mixed public reaction suggests that many Canadians haven't fully grasped the implications of what's happening. What's particularly disturbing is how this case connects to broader patterns of violence and intimidation. Singh isn't the only Canadian who has faced threats related to his political positions on international issues. Journalists, activists, and community leaders have all reported similar experiences. The difference is that Singh had the platform and the security apparatus to protect him. Most Canadians facing similar threats don't have that luxury. The investigation into the threats against Singh has revealed a sophisticated network of surveillance and intimidation that extends far beyond one individual. Singh has said the RCMP never told him who was behind the threat, although the implication was a foreign government. This careful language from law enforcement tells us that the investigation is ongoing and that the full scope of foreign interference in Canada is still being uncovered. Looking at the public's reaction, we can see a country that's struggling to come to terms with its new reality. Canada is no longer the isolated, peaceful nation that could ignore international conflicts. We're a target because of our values, our diversity, and our willingness to speak out against human rights abuses around the world. Singh's case is a wake-up call that many Canadians are still trying to understand. The future implications of this case are enormous. If we normalize the idea that political leaders need constant protection, what does that mean for grassroots democracy? If foreign governments can successfully intimidate Canadian politicians through threats of violence, what does that mean for our sovereignty? If the public reaction remains mixed and divided, what does that mean for our collective ability to respond to these threats? Singh's experience also highlights the personal cost of political leadership in an era of foreign interference. Singh lost his seat in the April election and resigned as party leader. And while there were many factors in that decision, the stress and isolation of living under constant threat certainly played a role. When political leadership becomes this dangerous and this isolating, we risk losing good people who might otherwise serve their communities and country. The mixed public reaction to Singh's RCMP escort reveals something uncomfortable about Canadian society. We want to believe we're above the kind of political violence and foreign interference that affects other countries, but we're not. We want to believe that our democratic institutions are strong enough to withstand external pressure. But they're being tested in ways we've never experienced before. The question isn't whether Singh deserved protection. The question is whether we as a society are prepared to defend the democratic principles that make such protection necessary. What's even more concerning is how this case has exposed the vulnerability of our entire political system. If foreign governments can successfully target one federal party leader, what's stopping them from targeting others? Prime Minister Trudeau has faced his own security challenges. Conservative leaders have received threats, and provincial politicians across the country are reporting increased security concerns. Singh's case isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a coordinated campaign to destabilize Canadian democracy from within. The technical aspects of how Singh was being surveilled are particularly chilling. According to security experts, modern surveillance operations by foreign intelligence services don't just involve following someone around. They include digital monitoring, financial tracking, family member surveillance, and the creation of detailed behavioral profiles. Singh and his family weren't just being watched. They were being studied, analyzed, and targeted with the precision of a military operation. This level of sophistication suggests resources and coordination that go far beyond what any domestic threat could achieve. Let's examine the psychological impact on Singh's family, because this is where the human cost becomes truly apparent. His wife, Gurcharan Kaur, was pregnant during the height of the security crisis. Imagine trying to prepare for the birth of your child while knowing that your family is under active threat from foreign agents. Singh has spoken about the impossible position this put him in, wanting to be present and engaged as a father and husband, while also knowing that his very presence might put his loved ones in danger. The security protocols Singh had to follow read like something out of a spy novel. Multiple route changes, decoy vehicles, advanced security sweeps of every location, restricted communication protocols, and constant awareness of exit strategies. But here's what most people don't understand. These measures don't just protect the individual, they also protect everyone around them. When Singh attended public events, the security wasn't just about keeping him safe. It was about ensuring that no innocent bystanders would be caught in crossfire if something went wrong. The diplomatic implications of Singh's case have created ripple effects that extend far beyond Canada's borders. India's reaction to Canadian Accusations of state-sponsored violence has been swift and harsh, including the expulsion of diplomats and threats of economic retaliation. But what many don't realize is that other countries are watching this situation closely. How Canada responds to foreign interference against its political leaders will set precedents for how similar situations are handled globally. We're not just protecting one politician. We're defending the principle that democratic leaders should be free from foreign intimidation. The economic cost of protecting threatened politicians is something taxpayers deserve to understand. RCMP, close protection details cost hundreds of thousands of dollars per year per individual. This includes not just the officers themselves, but specialized vehicles, communication equipment, advanced security teams, and coordination with other law enforcement agencies. Singh's protection detail likely cost Canadian taxpayers well over $1 million during the height of the threat period. Critics argue this money could be better spent elsewhere, but supporters counter that the cost of losing democratic leaders to foreign violence would be far higher. One aspect of this story that hasn't received enough attention is how it's affecting other members of Canada's South Asian community. Singh's targeting wasn't random. It was specifically because of his identity as a Sikh leader and his vocal support for human rights in India. This has created a chilling effect where other community leaders, activists, and even ordinary citizens are wondering if they too could become targets. The RCMP has confirmed that numerous individuals in Canada's South Asian diaspora have received credible threats, but most don't have the resources or political profile to receive the same level of protection as Singh. The technology being used in modern political surveillance and intimidation campaigns is evolving rapidly. Singh's case involved not just physical surveillance, but likely digital monitoring, social media analysis, and sophisticated intelligence gathering that previous generations of politicians never had to worry about. Foreign intelligence services are using artificial intelligence, big data analytics, and social media manipulation to identify targets, understand their vulnerabilities, and coordinate intimidation campaigns. This isn't your grandfather's spycraft. This is cyber warfare combined with traditional intelligence operations. The legal implications of Singh's case are still unfolding, and they're setting important precedents for how Canada handles foreign interference. The criminal code provisions dealing with foreign interference have rarely been tested in court, and Singh's case is providing real-world examples of how these laws work in practice. Legal experts are watching closely to see how prosecutors handle evidence of foreign state involvement, how courts interpret the intersection of free speech and national security, and how the justice system balances transparency with operational security. Public opinion polling on Singh's security situation reveals fascinating divisions within Canadian society. Rural Canadians are more likely to view the security measures as excessive, while urban Canadians tend to see them as necessary. Older Canadians remember when political leaders could walk freely among the public, while younger Canadians have grown up in an era where security is the norm. Most tellingly, Canadians who have personal experience with authoritarian governments, whether as immigrants or through family history, are much more likely to understand the seriousness of state-sponsored threats. The international intelligence community's response to Singh's case has been significant but largely hidden from public view. Allied intelligence services have shared information, coordinated investigations, and adjusted their own threat assessments based on what happened. In Canada, this case has become a textbook example of how foreign interference operates in Western democracies, and intelligence agencies around the world are using it to refine their own protective measures and investigation techniques. As we watch this story continue to unfold, remember that Singh's case is just the tip of the iceberg. Foreign interference in Canada is real, it's ongoing, and it's affecting more people than we realize. The public's mixed reaction to his security arrangements is a test of our democratic maturity. Will we rise to meet this challenge, Or will we allow division and skepticism to weaken our response to genuine threats? This story isn't over. The investigations continue, the diplomatic fallout persists, and the threats to Canadian democracy remain real and present. Singh's experience under RCMP protection is a glimpse into a future where political leadership comes with risks that previous generations of Canadians never had to face. How we respond to these challenges will determine what kind of democracy we pass on to the next generation. The question isn't whether we can afford to protect our democratic leaders. The question is whether we can afford not to.